Okay, so then let's start with the last part, the last topic of this unit 4. And the title of this section is Resolving Design Problems. Okay. Now, what do we mean with resolving design problems? Something that we often have to do as we talk as engineers. So, in this part, in this section, there are not a lot of exercises actually. What we are going to do is, could you please read the deals of this section?
Yes, yes, I see that.
Could you please read
Okay.
it?
Uh, this section deals with the communication that takes place as a design are revised to address technical problems existing during production constructions. On many engineering projects, levels of complexity and time pressure mean that it is virtually impossible to get design right first time. Mhm. Okay.
Thank you. So the aim of this part is that actually we have to work in what can we do, how communication is effective
Mhm.
in this part of the process, in this designing process actually.
Mhm.
Then a particular problem arises when there are a large number of drawings. So what happens when we got a lot of papers in our desks, for example? Try to imagine that you work as something in administration, a sales clerk, or maybe an assistant or something. And when you got a lot of work to do, you got like bunches of papers and contracts
Yes,
on your desk.
that's a
Then,
problem.
because sometimes you can get confused with the papers and stuff like that. So that's the aiming here. Now, try to imagine that, but now with drawings talking about projects. Okay, so that's a little bit more difficult. So for different structural and mechanical and electrical components in a building or vehicle, that's talking about the drawings, this communication process can take place verbally, but is often backed up with formal correspondence for the record purposes. Okay, so during this unit, we'll be working and see how communication affects this process. And
Okay.
in some cases, that's good because it helps us to have a little bit more in the results, like good results and stuff like that. Okay,
Okay.
so before we then start in this unit, we'll find helpfully actually this vocabulary. Now you might see I can highlight you the words so
Yes.
that you just notice them.
Yes, I see that. I have that.
Advise, clarify, confirm, disregard, indicate, propose. We've also
Propose.
got request,
Mm-hmm.
state, work to alternative, as
Mm-hmm.
per, clash, conflict,
Mm-hmm.
contradict, and discrepancy. So this vocabulary, it's going to be helpful and a little bit useful during this part of the unit because actually we're going to be working with that. Okay,
Okay.
so that you might remember it. Now, do you know the meaning or do you understand the context of the phrase asper?
Uh,
Aspire, sorry.
in this case, I don't have problem with something talking about meaning or no. This is very common. This class of
Of
words,
vocabulary. Uh-huh.
yes, or vocabulary is very common in different circumstances, like troubleshootings, conflicts, or problems when I have to resolve. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
talking about problems now or failures.
Okay. Oh, that's great.
Yes.
So let me just erase this blue thing and now here it is. Now let's see. Before we just start again,
Mm-hmm.
we need to establish something.
Mm-hmm.
What is mean,
Meant
or what do you know? What do you
resolving.
understand by resolving? What's resolving for you? Or maybe in your work area, what's resolving?
Well, maybe it refers about the problems that I had to solve. Uh,
Okay, that's a good one.
well,
Some
is that no?
okay. Yes. So resolving is solving,
Mm-hmm.
sorting out maybe,
Okay,
overcoming, or finding solutions.
exactly.
All these words are synonyms, okay? Synonyms of this word resolving,
Mm-hmm.
so that they're able to use these words in a little.
In this case,
Hmm.
is interesting sorting out that vocabulary about sorting out.
Hmm.
Uh, I had to use this word in some circumstance, or is similar for uh, all
Okay.
words.
Well, sorting out, actually, it's easy to use. I mean, there's
Mhm,
not like a grammar that you need to, but you can do it. Okay, you can use it when you talk in arguments, for example.
okay,
Okay, that means
arguments.
when they say sort out arguments. Okay.
Sort out arguments.
Hmm.
Okay, okay,
So, for example, I had a problem with my
mhm,
phone, but
okay,
I sorted it out.
okay. I have problem with my phone.
Okay. Hmm. Or
Uh,
that's the main idea of that. Okay, to
okay,
sort out or sorting out.
sorting out. Okay. Mm,
So,
good.
for, another example could be, well, both parties,
Mm-hmm.
parties in this case, partes, like the
Okay.
persons,
Parts.
both parties want to sort out the problem. That means that both people or both teams want to
Mm-hmm.
solve the problem.
Solve the problem.
They want to maybe work together and stuff like that. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
perfect. So now that we know what solving means, let's start with the preview of the book. And the book in the page 38, I think I told you, uh, tell us to discuss what do we think? What do you think that can happen, that can occur if different drawings that were made up are not properly coordinated? So try to imagine this situation. Okay, we have different drawings that make up just one design. You might remember the ski complex
Yes,
that,
ski
that we
complex.
worked
Yes.
last session. So do you remember that they were Leo, the project
Mm-hmm.
manager, talking about the electrical team, the
Oh,
mechanical
yes.
team, and all people have drawings of their system. But what happened when these different drawings are not properly coordinated?
Mm-hmm.
What problems do you think might occur or might appear or arise during the project?
Um,
In your own experience, maybe.
mhm. Well, I suggest about I suggest get a preliminary drawing,
Okay.
or where it's necessary that engineers circulate the information properly,
Hmm.
and where it's required the drawings it should like announcement, or no a pro it will be a pro
Mhm.
um, um, and different problems that I can remember now, like problems where uh, the members of the team, um, like electrical and mechanical, develop for a good structure or um, and suggest and recommended the recommended some suggest to the clients.
Okay.
I think that no, more or less.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So, also from the as you mentioned, when we have different drawings, projects could be, I mean, different drawings build up just one project at the same time. And when these different drawings, these different teams are not well coordinated or properly coordinated, then we might affront some issues, as for example, maybe the a mechanical team design was properly done, but the mechanical or electrical, I don't remember which one I said, uh, has some issues by using the mechanical drawing,
Okay.
because you know that they sometimes help each other. Maybe the mechanical needs to follow the electrical drawing, or maybe the electrical team needs to follow and use the mechanical drawing.
Okay.
So when this is not like well done, then we might have problems in the production, in the management, maybe in the same construction, building, or setting up of the project.
Yes,
So,
I think it's important because I have had circumstance about the discrepancies
mhm,
with the drawings, and
okay,
it's increased the problems
yes.
for all the equipment. I mean, talking about members of the members
Mm-hmm.
team, members team.
Aha, and then they all need to work double because of that
Yes,
problem. So
sure.
that's something that anyone wants to avoid. So often conflicting, that means different information is shown on different drawings. On one drawing, the dimensions of a component may not correspond with those shown on a related drawing. So that happens when you see a drawing and you say, okay, that's good. But then you see another reference and that does not correspond with the last one. And then you start thinking, okay, which one is the right one? And then clashes, that means like crash actually.
Yes,
Clashes
okay.
are another common problem. That means different drawings may show different components in the same position within an assembly, meaning the assembly will not fit together as designed.
Or
That means because a bad position of the drawing, then when you want to assemble that, maybe they do not fit. Maybe we have like difference in millimeters, like the one of the concrete super concrete floor that we work
mhm, yeah,
and
I
stuff like that.
remember.
hmm So key dimensions and assembly details may also be missing from the set of drawings, leaving the production with inadequate information. Hmm? So that's
Yes.
something that we might have in here as a problems by
Mhm.
themselves.
Exactly.
So let me just make a little bit more of zooming here. And in exercise 13,
Mhm.
we have some records. Then these records are from the indoor ski complex project. They show correspondence between the design team and the construction team. Now, what we are going to do is that we are going to read all these texts quickly. Well, not quickly, but we're going to read them. And
Mhm.
we need to answer this next four questions. So, could you please help me reading the first four questions?
Okay. Number one, what is the general subject of the correspondence?
Mhm,
Um, Number two, what is meant by query and instruction?
mhm.
And number three, some queries refer to early conversations, suggest why this has been follow up in writing. And number four, what is meant by drawing and
Mhm.
dims or dimensions?
Exactly. Well, I think you already answered that one.
Okay.
DWG means drawing and DIMS means dimensions.
Mhm.
So you already solved number four.
Okay.
Perfect. So the first question, after we read this correspondence, we need to know, well, what's the subject? What's the objective of this conversation?
Mhm.
Then, what do we mean by query and instruction? What's that word? And finally, during the conversation, they talk about or they make reference to an earlier conversation, something before. So, what do you think they mention again, something they already talked before? So let's make a reading between the contractor's query and the engineer's instruction as a
Okay.
project manager. Okay.
Okay.
So could you please read the contractor's query and I'm gonna read the engineer's instruction.
Mhm. Contractor's query number 807, no, 67.
Uh-huh.
Following our telephone conversation today, we note that there is a discrepancy between drawings 76E and 78E, which indicate conflicting dimension for the width of the roof opening. Okay, please clarify which dimension is correct. Mm,
And the engineer's instruction is we confirm the correct dimension is on drawing 76E. Please disregard the dims on drawing 78E.
exactly. Okay.
Just so you see the problem and the solution of the engineer. Continue, please.
Tractor's query number 8068. 80,
868.
868, sorry. As discussed this morning on site, we confirmed there is a clash between the purpose cable tray drawing AE56 and air conditioning duct work now installed as per drawing M 118 in the silent void at grid D14. Please advise on an alternative cable route. Okay.
Okay, and the engineer's instruction is that please work to attach
Yes.
sketch S33, revision of drawing E56 to follow.
Okay, request and solution. Okay. Contractor's query number 869.
Mhm.
A note on drawing 11A specifies black poles at the base of the ski lift cable support. This contradicts the specifications, which state that all joints to comprise high strength friction grip poles. We propose using HSFG fixings at this location.
Okay, and the engineer's instruction is that please provide further details of the HSFG bolts you are proposing.
Contractor's query number 870. Uh, Further to query 869, the proposed HSFG bolts are as per those specified for all other bolted joints on this ski lift support. Our intention is to use a single ball specification or to facilitate assembly.
And the
Okay,
engineer's instruction was okay,
approved.
approved.
Okay.
So, according to these not conversation, but records,
Mhm.
What is the general subject of the correspondence? I mean, what are they talking about? What's
Mhm.
the main idea?
I see that well, I think is problems and result or problems and solutions,
Exactly.
right?
They're talking about the design problems and
Mhm.
the solutions to those problems.
Yes.
Perfect. And as a second one, then it says that what is meant by query and instruction.
Mm. Well, I think is the request is a request,
Okay,
and instruction
because it
is
says contractors query number, well, and then it
uh,
says
okay.
engineers instruction.
Okay.
So what do you understand by that? Maybe with synonyms.
Request is a problem or consider okay, question. Mhm.
Mhm. A query, it's a question or a
Yeah.
dot, and
And
an instruction like engineer's instruction
mhm.
in this case is the explanation,
Okay, the explanation.
the
Good.
engineer's explanation.
Yes,
Then,
explanation.
then some of the queries in here refer to earlier conversations.
Mhm,
So,
mhm,
for example, at the first one in the question number 867,
mhm.
the contractors say,
Yeah,
following our telephone conversation today, that means that they already talked in the past. So, what do
exactly.
you think they continue talking about this one? What do you think they follow up
Mhm, mhm.
now in writing part?
In writing part,
Mhm. I
well,
mean, what do you think they remember him
uh-huh.
or her? That
Yeah.
means the engineer.
Mhm, mhm. In this case, I have to indicate the dimension or the reference
Mhm.
for resolve the problem or recommend that necessary, or is if that is necessary, follow up or resolve,
Mhm.
no.
Exactly. So
Mhm.
imagine you talk something with your colleague, with your partner, with your boss, or a project manager, and
Mhm.
later you have some questions about the same that you just talked before.
Mhm.
So you
Okay.
do something that it's called follow up.
Okay.
Follow up refers that when something is important,
Mhm.
you continue talking about this one.
Mhm.
That means that writing follow up is important in order to keep the record. Okay, a
Mhm.
record for the contractual or financial, see, financial purposes. Okay, so that the people, maybe another engineer who doesn't work in the project reads this later, or maybe a client, so that the persons and the people know what they are talking about. Okay, and well, the last one you answered since the beginning, you know, the DWG refers to,
Drawings,
and by the other
dims,
hand, dims
times,
make a reference to
dimensions.
the dimensions of something. Okay,
Okay.
so that's just the main difference between those ones.
Exactly.
Mhm. May I erase the answers?
Yes, no problem.
Okay, thank you. So, so this is an example of a record. Okay, that means what people asks and what the engineers or the boss, the manager,
Mhm.
give as solution. or
Mhm.
explanation to something.
Maybe it's similar to the in Spanish is bitácora or
Exactly. It's a
okay.
record.
Okay. Mhm.
Uh, for example,
Mhm.
as you said in the Bitácora, we use it
Mhm.
to mm, uh, to solve future
Mhm.
solutions or
Okay.
future questions.
Sure.
Like when you go into an internet site and you read a section, I don't know if you have seen it before, but
Okay.
it's known as FAQ, or the
Uh,
facts that are questions. When we
mm,
talk about digital media, internet sites and stuff like that,
uh,
enterprise sites, we got something known as the FAQs,
exactly.
that are common questions.
Mm,
So, for example, when you buy a cell phone and you Google it and you go to, I don't know, Samsung, you have a new Samsung cell phone. You Google it, you go to Samsung.com,
mhm.
and you have a question.
Yeah.
How can I take a screenshot on my phone? I don't know. And then
Uh,
you search on the FAQ, that means the FAQ, that it's the section where a lot of people who also
mhm.
bought the same cell phone made the question and got a solution. ¿Ok? Es la típica sección
And
de
what,
preguntas frecuentes.
uh, yes, and so I'm going to ask about what is mean facts. What is
Yes.
question frequent questions, right?
Yes. Frequently
Mm,
answered questions. That's why it's FAQ, frequently answered questions.
questions. Oh, okay.
That means all the questions in that area are already solved. And you can write one new question so that in the near future, an expert solves it to you.
Good.
Mhm. Perfect. So let's use these last queries to just answer the next correspondence in detail. We're going to write the number of the queries number next to the description, okay? In some cases, you might see that we are going to talk about 2 or 3 different queries. As for example, number 1 says, an installation that won't fit as components are in each other's way.
Why?
So in
Okay.
which query, in which question, they mention something about the components and installations that won't fit. And it says the book 868. And now let's go back to contractor's query number
Uh-huh.
868. And
Yeah.
um,
Okay.
it says in is a clash between the proposed cable tray and air
Uh-huh.
conditioning ductwork.
The poor. Mhm.
So what do you understand by clash? A collision.
Yep.
That
Crash.
means
Crash.
that the cable tray and the air conditioning ductwork collide each other because they are not well coordinated in drawing.
Okay.
That means they don't fit. Okay.
Yes. This maybe it is a discrepancy.
Mhm. So could you please read the second description and tell me to which query make reference?
Okay. To a response from the engineer asking for more information. A response from the engineer
Mhm.
asking for more information. Okay. And that's
In which query the engineer, it says a response from the engineer asking
okay.
for, in which one the engineer asked for more information.
Okay. Contractor's query number 869.
69
Yes.
exactly. So you write there 869.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna write it T, but then I'm not gonna be able to move it. 869. Continue with the third one, please.
Three queries that suggest a solution. which will require the engineer's approval. Okay.
Mhm.
Check. Okay. Contractor's query number 870.
870, and there's another one. There are two different queries that requires, well, that ask for an engineer's approval because they give a possible solution.
869 too.
869 again, yes. Because the engineers, yes, the engineers give a
Yes,
possible
because
solution,
provide for.
and the
Mhm.
engineer said, okay, tell me more about your
Mhm.
solution so that I can approve it. Number 4, request to the engineer to instruct the contractor
Mhm.
or make something clear.
Something. Okay.
In which one they request to the engineer instruction.
Uh, maybe 867. Yep. Yes.
867 and
Uh, 868.
868. Perfect.
Okay.
So finally, number 5. Could you please help me reading?
Separate documents referring to detail that don't correspond with each other.
Mhm.
Okay. In this case, corresponds 867. Um,
867. Okay.
um, 968.
868.
Yes. And yes, I have three, right? Okay, it
Mm-hmm.
says. Mm, uh, 869. Yes.
869. Yes.
Mhm.
Perfect.
Right.
So you were able to identify the queries, the possible queries in here,
Okay.
because you need to understand them and then identify the problem and solution. Mm-hmm. Perfect. Right. So
Mhm.
before we go to an extension activity of more vocabulary, let's complete this exercise. Letter C. Let me make a zoom. Now, you have a sandbox with 5 different options, such as advise,
Advice,
clarify,
clarify.
clash,
Mhm.
propose, and request.
Yes.
Read each sentence and complete with the
Mhm.
best verb in the box.
Okay.
Hmm?
Number one, the components are in each other's way. Okay. Okay.
That means that the
Those
components,
the components crash. No.
clash.
Okay.
Yes. The
Okay.
components clash.
Yes,
Perfect.
because in each other's way.
Then, number 2.
Two, please ask for more information.
Mhm. That
Okay.
means please
Please, please request more information.
request. Excellent.
Request. Number three, can I suggest a solution to the problem? Okay.
Mhm.
Can I propose a solution?
Propose. Perfect.
Yes, because it's similar. Number four, please instruct the supplier to send the parts to this address.
That means
Uh,
please.
uh, please um, advise the supplier.
Advice.
Mhm. Yes, yes, because
Perfect.
clarify now is.
Please advise.
Mhm. Okay, and number five, any conflicting details must be required and must be quitted.
Mm-hmm.
You must clarify any conflicting details.
Exactly. Perfect.
Mm, okay.
Great.
Good that
Mhm.
I have examples about that vocabulary because I
Yes.
understand better
Hmm.
when I practice the vocabulary. It's,
Exactly. And we're gonna have a little bit more vocabulary in this
mhm,
part. Actually, the next exercise is guided with the extension resource sheet, the one that
mhm.
I forgot to send you.
Yeah.
So exercise 4A, we're gonna not do it today because I need you to print the resource
Uh,
sheet that I'm
that's
gonna
the
send it in a moment.
mm,
But let's go to the extension vocabulary about this exercise. So as an extension activity, you could look at the meaning of some of the terms in exercise 13A. You might remember these words: cable tray,
cable
the
tray. Mhm.
ductwork, grid D14, black balls, and maybe you remember the HSFG, the height strength friction grips.
Yep. Yep. High strength
So
friction grips. Okay.
we need to take out the meaning of these terms.
Mm.
So for example, do you know what a cable tray is?
Cable tray. Maybe it's one cable
Mm-hmm.
in the height or
Uh-huh, yes. Actually, it's in the height.
oh yes, I think so. I don't know. Cable tray. The cable is of metal.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, That's all. I don't know more.
Okay. A cable tray will be known as a narrow metal deck suspended from a ceiling
Okay.
or fixed to a
Okay.
wall which supports several cables.
Okay.
I mean, it's like a cable that guides more cables so that you can take the cable tray as reference.
Okay.
Mhm. Then we have the ductwork.
Well, I imagine that this work is um, mm, it's when I see installations
Mhm,
about ducts
mhm.
or uh, with uh, one protective material or
Mhm.
around of the I don't know is this in this case is cables or another
Well, similar to the ducks, you remember the ducks? Uh-huh.
another
So could you please read the
mhm.
ductwork meaning?
Okay, collective terms for ducts, ducting, large section pipes. Okay, pipes with circular or square profiles for carrying air. Okay, or a protective cover for cables or hoses. Okay.
Exactly. So when you have
Mm,
a lot of ducks, that means ductwork. Instead of saying all the ducks, you say the ductwork. That means all the ducks together. All the duct system, for example.
okay.
Mhm. Then
Good.
you have the grid D14. That it sounds
It's,
like a name actually.
Grid D14 is a
Hmm.
system or
Well,
um,
try to just concentrate on the word grid.
okay, okay. Is that one design or
Okay, it has to do with designs, yes.
design? Okay.
Hmm.
For what?
I'll put it in here.
Okay. In the designs of large structures. Okay. Large structures, a grid is often
Imposed.
superimposed on plain drawings to allow elements and installation to be located relative to the grid lines. Grid lines.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Then we
Good.
got the black balls.
Well, black balls is, I mean, is ordinary, or, mm,
Balls.
balls, yes,
Yes, it's a term used in civil engineering to describe ordinary balls.
yes,
They just
yes.
give it the color, black balls.
Okay.
And finally, we got the height strength friction grapes, the
Uh,
HSFG, that you might remember it was on the records of the queries and the engineer's instruction.
okay. About the I don't know, in these cases, talking about material balls, material
Mhm.
balls, or steel, like
Okay.
steel, or
Yes, as it says balls at the end, the definition it's a little bit large.
no, balls which compress steel plates. Oh, okay, together so tightly. All right, tightly, that the plates are held together properly by the friction generated between
Between the
the
surfaces.
surface of the plates.
So instead of using or doing assemblies and stuff
Yep,
like
yep,
that,
yep.
the friction helps these surfaces to be together. That means they are held together, they are like pasted together, but not because of the steel or the heating,
Okay,
drilling, or
okay.
something like that, because of
But,
the friction.
okay, but this in this case is the future is the tightly, so tightly. Is
Mhm.
okay.
So that in that way, the plates are held together. Mhm. Yes, that's
Okay.
great. And actually, they're like you know, the balls. I have a drawing in here. Let me see. Where's the drawing? There's a drawing. Well, I have a photo actually.
Okay. You have a one example? Okay.
Yes, a picture
Oh,
in
okay.
here, but I don't know how to show it in here. Well, let me see. Let me turn on this thing.
Okay.
And I'm gonna show you through my camera.
All right.
But, I have a lot of photos in here. Now look.
Okay.
Mm, this is the HFGC.
Let me see. All right.
Okay, and actually a real photo in the real life of this thing is this one.
Okay. Yes. Yes, it's normal. Yes, it's very
Hmm.
common with washer and nuts and bolts.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Perfect. So that was the extension activity for vocabulary of this unit. Cause then the next is a resource sheet. But as I told you, we need the resource sheet to answer exercise 4A so that you understand it a little bit better. That is a listening. No, it's not a listening. No, it's not a listening. Okay. And then we complete the conversation with the listening.
Okay.
So that you remember. But that's it's, I think, and that's the last part. Then we
Okay.
start
Okay.
unit 5.
Okay.
Mhm. So next session, we're going to finish this. I'm going to
Okay.
send you the resource sheet so that you print it.
Mhm.
Okay.
Are you sending one the sheet
Yes,
about
I'm going to
this
send it to you.
practice?